Okay, how you doing, everybody? I'm Brandon. I'm with United Commercial Insurance. Wanted to make a video today about getting trucking insurance, but from the agency side. So the insurance agency side, that's the side that I'm on. United Commercial Insurance. We do transportation insurance, actually all types of business insurance, but a lot of what we call commercial auto insurance, which includes trucking, around town guys, box trucks, pickups, auto haulers, all the different types, big or small. We've written them all over the country. We're very familiar with how trucking insurance works. We ride it every day, all day long. We have a number of amazing customers. And so I wanted to make this video about the important aspects of trucking insurance when you're starting a new transportation company, things that will disqualify you, things that will help your rates, all the aspects that go into a rate, different options that you have available. Hopefully it's of worth. Let me know in the comments if there's something else you'd like me to cover, but if not, we're just going to jump right into it. First thing you got to do is when you're starting a trucking company, you got to get a DOT number. DOT number stands for Department of Transportation number. You probably have heard of it. If you have any experience in trucking, every company you've worked for has a Department of Transportation number. Essentially, what that does is it ties your information, your company's information, to a record with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. It gives you information on how many trucks you have, how many drivers you have, how many miles you haul or you run every year, the commodities that you haul, all the different things that go into the operation of your company. And so that's an important aspect. Looks like this. What you'll see, I mean, this is a classic government website, right? You know, all over the place. But essentially up here you see U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and you'll see the SAFER system, or Safety and Fitness Electronic Record System. This is where you can register for a DOT number. You come down here, you register, you put in all your information. You'll get a DOT number. You can also elect to receive or get a motor carrier number, which we'll talk about later on. DOT numbers are sequential. So the very first company that ever got one was the FMCSA. In fact, if you put a number 1 right there, you'll see right here, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Shows they have 4 trucks, 3 drivers, all the different commodities that they haul, passengers. You know, the inspections that they've had a number of inspections with a few out of service stuff. So that's kind of funny. Anyway, so this is where your information will show up. When you get a DOT number, it's important that you understand that you will get hundreds of phone calls the minute that information goes public. So you're going to get calls from insurance agencies, factoring companies, brokers, compliance companies, ELD, electronic logging device companies, gas card companies, fuel discounts, all types, all day long, every day. Most of our customers that when they register for a DOT number actually turn off their phone for a few days. So it is a difficult time. You're going to get solicitations from everybody and anybody that's in the trucking industry. And so something to be aware of, something to be prepared for, but that will happen. So anyway, let's talk about the second part. What options do you have when it comes to getting insurance? Okay, where do you go? Well, most people are going to be familiar with Progressive, right? So Progressive is, let's see here. Progressive, one of the largest insurance carriers for trucking companies in the country, for new venture trucking companies, very popular. Nice thing about them is they'll pretty much offer you a rate no matter what you do, right? So things that go against you in trucking is if you're really young, you know, if you're 18 years old, just graduated high school, you get a CDL license, have no experience, don't really have any financial history to your name at all. You just somehow buy a truck, start a transportation company and start going. Well, the majority of insurance companies out there will not offer you a rate until you have experience, until you're aged into their appetite is what they call it, right? So Progressive's nice because they're going to offer you a quote. Now, it may be really expensive or it may be, you know, something that you can afford. But the nice part about Progressive is for the most part, they will offer you an insurance quote. Now, some of the other options that we have, if you look, this one is a market that we offer. It's called Great West Casualty Company. Great West is one of the better insurers in the market today. So they're sort of the best of the best. If we can get you with Great West, you're really going to be in a good spot for a long time looking forward. premium coverages. They really are trying to support the trucker. They're trying to help you run your business safely, reduce your claims, reduce your costs, keep you in business for as long as possible, right? So Great West is an incredible option. Great West is tricky because for a long time, they only offered you insurance if you had 2 years on your DOT. So if you remember going back, DOT numbers are sequential. So when we see a DOT number, I think we're in the late 3 millions, 3.9 million. Well, if you have a number that's 2 million, 1 million, or certainly under 1 million, you're an older company. So you've been around for a long time. You have a lot of experience. Well, you have a better chance of getting insurance at a lot of these insurance companies because you have a history. You have a history of claims. They can tell if you're a safe or an unsafe company. Great West was difficult just because you had to have 2 years experience with the DOT just to qualify for a quote. Now, that being said, they don't offer it in every state. Okay. In fact, we have it, I believe we have Great West in 33 of the states that we are licensed in. California, Florida is going to be tough. New York's going to be tough. That Northeast is going to be tough with Great West. For whatever reason, Illinois is tough. So there's a number of states that they're just not interested in. But if you are a trucker, if you have a semi, and you're hauling the cargo that they like or that falls within their appetite, then you're going to qualify for their program and you're most likely going to get a decent rate and really amazing coverages. They are opening up their appetite. So box trucks, pickups are being more accepted, but it depends on the state that you're in and it depends on your history. So if you're, again, graduating high school and you buy a pickup truck and you're going to haul autos, they're probably going to pass on you, right? And so it just kind of depends on the scenario. Another company that we offer is Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway, also common, about 8 years ago, they were a lot more common. They accepted more trucking companies and offered more quotes. We used to sell Berkshire Hathaway quite a bit in the past. They do okay. They're not in every state. In the Northeast, they're not great. Passenger vehicles, large, vans, charter vans, they do really well with. Berkshire Hathaway does a good job if you need $5 million in liability. And we can talk about that later, what you need. But if you have over $1 million in liability, Berkshire Hathaway will do a good job. Progressive only goes up to $2 million in liability. So hazardous material haulers are going to struggle with Progressive, typically need $5 million. Berkshire Hathaway will offer that $5 million, but they're not as common anymore just because for whatever reason, they've become more restrictive on their coverages and they've done different things with their program that make it more difficult for us to sell it. So here's one that you may have heard of. This is Canal Insurance. Canal is a decent insurance company out there. They're somewhat common. I think it's more difficult to get a Canal quote than a Progressive quote or a Berkshire Hathaway quote. Canal is, I think, has some programs. They actually have a program where you pay by the mile. That depends on what state. It's not available in every state, but essentially you sign up and then you pay monthly based on the miles that you travel, which is really great for companies that aren't traveling very far, aren't going into really risky places like Miami or LA or New York. It'll save you a lot of money there, but Canal's an option. National Indemnity is an option. Century is, sometimes an option. CoverWell is a new one. CoverWell is an insurance company. In fact, let me bring up CoverWell real quick. CoverWell is an insurer that we are looking at more and more, and somebody that we've been writing a little bit this year that we haven't written in the past. CoverWell offers a good alternative for somebody that doesn't like Progressive, doesn't qualify for other markets, but wants to get insurance and wants to get going. CoverWell, I think, has some competitive rates. They do require things that drivers don't love. In fact, they require you to have a dash cam that's both forward and driver facing. And so some of our customers haven't liked that. I don't think it's a huge deal. The way that they explain it is that it's only capturing events. And so essentially, when you get into an accident, you typically want that dash cam. All of our customers that have a dash cam have been grateful because a lot of times it can limit the amount of liability that your insurance company has to pay out and the size of the claims. And in fact, there's so much fraud in trucking. we have a lot of instances where if you're in bumper to bumper traffic, someone will reverse into you and then claim that you ran into them. And having a dash cam, I think everybody knows the benefits of them, but dash cams as an insurance side, I mean, they're a no-brainer. I understand the driver's side. You don't want to have an invasion of your privacy, but CoverWell can offer you some decent rates if you qualify for their programs and you're in the state that they offer. So interesting way. Those are just a few of the insurers that we offer. Progressive, Berkshire, Great West, CoverWell, Canal, National Indemnity are some really good ones. Now, let's talk about what are some factors that could disqualify you from getting insurance. Well, number one, you got to factor your age take that into account, right? How old are you? The older, typically between 25 and 60 or 70, typically you're going to get better rates. By then you have some financial history to your name. By then you have more experience typically in driving, operating companies. Every factor that insurance companies are going to look into will be a factor that helps them determine if you're a good risk, right? So more experience running or being a part of an operation in trucking will help you get a better rate or help you get a quote where another person wouldn't get a quote. Classification of operations is a big one. What do? Are you a dirt, sand, and gravel hauler? Are you an auto hauler? Are you a general freight person? Do you do hazardous material? Are you doing passengers? What are you doing? What type of classification? Trucking is broken into so many different classifications. You really need to decide which one is best for what you're doing, and each one will have a different rate attached to it. So if you're talking to your buddy who does dirt, sand, and gravel, and you're doing lumber, those are two different classifications. If you're in the same state and you have the same age and same financial history, you're going to be paying different. Okay, that's pretty straightforward on that one. Area of the country, location, such a huge factor. All of our states have different rates. Okay, high traffic states, California, Florida, the East Coast. You know, every time an insurance company has a claim, they track that historically and say, what are the claims history in that zip code? Okay, Progressive's big into that. And they'll say, if you're originating out of Miami, well, their claims history is really big versus if you're originating out of a rural town in Iowa or Colorado, maybe New Mexico, then you're going to have a better rate. Even if you don't travel, spend most of your time in that area, if your loads take you all over, you're going to have a better rate. Now, that brings up, okay, should I buy an address in some of those other states? Well, you're going to have to prove that your business operations are in that state. Every insurance company, Progressive, Berkshire, Great West, they're going to say, hey, you need to prove that you garage in that location. If you can figure out that equation, then go for it, right? If you can figure out how to do that, then go for it. I would say the state and your personal financial history are the two biggest factors that dictate your price in insurance. If you're originating out of a very high claims area or high traffic area, you're going to have a high rate versus a more rural area that doesn't have many claims, you're going to have a much lower rate. And that could mean the difference between staying in business and going out of business. Something that is very important that you consider when you're starting a trucking company. Okay, number of trucks, right? If you're starting a new trucking company and you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks, you know what your insurance agent's going to ask you? Where were those trucks last month? Okay, where did you get those trucks? Are they all something, did you somehow buy all of those trucks, get started from scratch? You know, that's a difficult story to push because insurance companies typically want to see you start with one truck, and the most they want to see you grow is by double, right? So if you have one truck, you grow by one truck that first year, right? Some insurance companies won't let you grow at all. Okay, if you're with OIDA, the owner-operators insurance, you know, they're not going to let you grow at all, okay? Progressive will let you grow to a point. Great West doesn't want you to grow more than, you know, 1, maybe 2 per year when you're starting. Fast growth is a huge red flag, and they potentially will cancel your policy if you grow too fast because they're taking on With every truck that you bring on, they're taking on up to $1 million in liability that they have to cover. So it's a huge risk for them, something that they're very, very weary of. You got to be careful. Ideally, you start with 1 or 2 trucks and you grow at a steady pace. If that's what your plan is, to have a trucking company in 4 or 5 years be X number of trucks, well, you got to understand it's going to be difficult to start with 10 trucks. Sometimes that makes you a fleet. In some cases, the insurance company will classify you as a fleet. And then fleet companies have to have 3 years of business or 3 years with their DOT just to even qualify for a quote. So something you really need to take into account. It's not super common. Most people start with just 1 or 2 trucks, but growth is a huge factor in insurance and something that we deal with every day. Okay, last thing I want to talk about with insurance is payment options. Okay, how do you prepare to buy an insurance policy? Well, payment options can vary widely depending on the insurance company that you choose. Okay, so if we're looking with Progressive, we should have a number of payment options, including one thing I really recommend you do is a paid in full. And I know that's a lot, but if you can save up enough money to afford a $15,000, $18,000 insurance payment, you'll save, up to 15% on your policy, which is a huge amount of money. Then you won't have to worry about the insurance payments month to month. So if your truck gets put in a repair shop and it's down for 3 weeks, your insurance is typically one of your bigger payments. You won't have to worry about that payment for that month. You can get back out on the road and start going. I know, trust me, I know what you're going through. I understand that's a huge amount of money, but you save an incredible amount by paying in full, and the worry of making insurance payments month to month goes away. And it can be very stressful trying to make your insurance payments. So ideally you can save up enough money to do that, or you can borrow from a friend or a relative or however that goes. Something to consider. I mentioned Canal as a pay by the mile. That's a really interesting one. One thing you can look into is a lot of these companies, insurance companies, will accept a shared down payment with the factoring company. So one factoring company that we partner with is TBS. They have a down payment assistance program where they'll share half of your down payment if you sign up with their factoring services, and then they have a contract that you have to enter into. So that's an interesting way of doing it. It can lessen the burden of purchasing an insurance policy and make it easier for some trucking companies to do. So something that you can look into. It may be worth it in the first year, and then as you're up and going, the second, third, fourth, fifth year, you wouldn't do. But your first year, just to help with cash flow, something to consider. Okay. And then one area that you may want to look into when you're starting, if you're getting a DOT number, there's typically a wait period. Sometimes it's 21-day wait period to where the DOT can accept you and authorize you to go, right? So you register everything. It'll say on your DOT report, not authorized. You may be in that wait period. The DOT is waiting for you to get your filings in, your BOC3 filing, your insurance filing. And then once you have those, they can click a button and approve you, and you go from not authorized to active. Well, oftentimes when you're looking at insurance, you need insurance, but you don't need it today, right? Well, one thing you can do is you can buy your insurance policy and not get some coverages like cargo insurance. Maybe you can lower your liability to $750, which typically is the minimum required amount. And then when you are authorized with the DOT, you can go back onto your policy. You can call our office or call the insurance company direct. You can add cargo to your policy. You can up your liability to $1 million. And that oftentimes can help you with a lower down payment and buy you 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 days of lower payments when you don't need those coverages because you can't haul anyway. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that's information you didn't know and can help you when you're getting an insurance policy as a new venture trucking or transportation company. Again, United Commercial Insurance, you can call and talk to any one of our agents licensed all over the country in any state that I think it's 45 states right now, only a few states that we're not in. Love to talk to you about your company and your company's needs. Whether you're a new venture or you've been around for forever, give us a call. We can help you out. We have a lot of options for you. Otherwise, wish you the best of luck.